Bryan Campbell, former City Council member for Wenatchee, now seeking to be mayor. Welcome.
Thank you, Jefferson. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming by, and I wanted to give you some time to introduce yourself. Tell me about what you do and what you think you could contribute as mayor of the City of Wenatchee.
Well, yes, I'm a Wenatchee native, so I've been here a couple of years, and currently I was retired from the banking industry back in 2009, and then I started my own company's Proactive Business Solutions, and then about 5 years after that, Proactive Real Estate. And so currently, I started a mini storage on Maple Street Mini Storage. So I run those businesses out of my offices there. And I was on the City Council back 2012 to 2016. Really enjoyed that time, getting to know the inside of city operations. And since I ran for mayor in 2016 and lost to the incumbent, darn it. Anyway, I've stayed on at the council meetings since then. So I've pretty much been there at most of the council meetings for the last 12 years. COVID kind of put a little bit of a wrinkle in that, made it a little more difficult, but I'm back now. So,
talking about those who need a hand up, Wenatchee is looking at a fairly consistent problem with homelessness. There are folks who are living unhoused in our community. There have been some steps taken to establish homeless low barrier shelters for those who are without homes. The 2 safe parks that the city owns the land on. How do we continue to offer those kinds of safe harbors? How do we continue to try and get people into a place where they are moving ahead, thriving with their lives? Or is that the responsibility of the city at all?
That's an extremely complicated problem, as you know. Part of the issue at one point was the homeless that were around, were they Wenatchee's homeless or were they Tri-Cities homeless or Yakima's homeless? And we've done such a good job in serving the homeless population through food programs, rental assistance programs, several really good programs that we kind of brought in homeless from other places. And so I don't know if that's still the case and that's still going on, but I have talked with several of the homeless over the years, and most of them have been from out of the area. There are some that do it professionally, and there's some that really do have a need. And I've always thought, I mean, it's a compassionate thing. I've done the same thing. I've given money to the panhandlers, and you can't help but do it until you realize that really you're helping to continue the problem. You're not really solving the problem. There needs to be other ways to do that. And like I say, I've talked with them directly. I've actually transported them to the bus depot and bought them a ticket to Seattle. One person that's just what they needed, was trying to get enough money to get back to Seattle. So took care of that one. There's been several that there's mental health issues, there's substance abuse issues. Those are going to be longer term problems. And I think the city's done a wonderful job of getting the vehicles off the street with changing some ordinances and that process. That has worked really well. But that is a short-term solution. I don't know what kind of programs are in place for those people to eventually move on and move out, or if this was just a quick fix. But it is a long-term solution that we don't all have the answers to, but I am working with some of the people that were involved with the homelessness issue in their past jobs, and we will work together to do the best that we can to come up with a solution that we're actually taking care of Wenatchee's homeless population.
Is that to say that you see, Bryan, some of these programs as being more of a magnet that draws in or increases the problem? Are you wanting to see something modified so that we are serving just people who are just Wenatcheeites?
I do think we need to solve our problem first. Yes, I don't think we want to exacerbate the problem and bring in, hundreds of homeless from outside the area when we've got already trying to solve our problem here. So I don't know the restrictions on the different programs. I don't know if they have to say where they're residents of, or that how long they had to have lived here before they became homeless. I don't know all of those conditions, but I think we do need to make sure that we're going to serve our homeless population first. Yes.
So housing itself goes in tandem with the problem of homelessness. If you can't afford a home, that's a major barrier, and that creates a greater risk for one becoming homeless over time. How do we deal with the rise in home prices and the increases in rents? I see some places building and renting small spaces out for $1,200 or more dollars a month, and they are struggling to get people in because, again, that level seems to be unaffordable for a lot of people.
Right.
What can Wenatchee do to try and address that and collapse the cost of housing for people who just can't afford it?
Well, it's certainly going to have to be some assistance, because the house prices, it's supply and demand, and it's as simple as that. And so as the prices go up and people are being priced out of their homes, their taxes are going up, I'm very concerned about the people that are on fixed incomes and long-term Wenatchee residents that are being forced out of their home and forced out of the area, because once they do sell here, they can't afford to rebuy here. So housing affordability is like #1 on people's list right now. And part of that is inflationary pressures, and the access to financing is being diminished as well. So there's several issues involved here. One of them being, if you implement all of a sudden a non-supply and demand, I'll call it an artificial minimum wage that's double what it used to be, that all of a sudden that's raising the cost of everything. So your cost of homes are going to go up, and so you try to give people extra income, but it turns around and gets lost on the other end, so they don't get that much more buying power out of it. So one of the ways to decrease the cost of housing, make it more affordable, is some of the programs that the city's involved with now, where you can do a property tax waiver for a period of time. We have one housing project now. I think the developer had agreed to a 12-year property tax exemption in order to provide affordable housing at a certain level. My understanding is they're wanting to come back now and change that, because they looked at it, and cost-wise, it makes more profit for them to go with an 8-year exemption. And if that came up, I would not allow that change, because a lot of the reasons that we allowed that in the first place, we gave a lot of concessions in order to get this to happen, so that we could help our affordable housing portfolio. And if they're going to turn around and get rid of that, then I would be totally opposed to that.
You're watching the NCW Life channel.